Hi there.
Hey, Angel, how are you?
Fine. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good. Thanks so much for taking the time.
Of course, thanks for the invite.
Awesome. No problem. Thank you. I think we are alone at the moment, but we can get
Okay.
started and I will save the replay. And as people come in and out, hi there. As people come in and out, we can pause and I'll ask them to post their questions and comments down below, and then we'll just kind of keep it going, keep it
Cool.
flowing.
Sounds perfect.
Awesome. So once again, thank you so much for taking the time. And I want to say, first of all, that when I first figured out what raw vegan was, you were one of the first people I started to follow on YouTube because,
Really?
yes, because I was like, okay, I understand what he's saying. And he's a great communicator and he's laying it all on the line here. And so I just want to thank you and give you a shout out because I really felt like, I could relate to a lot of what you were saying. Now, I'm not saying that I was on your level. I'm just saying that I could relate to what you were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, I
So,
get you. Well, I'm glad
yeah,
to hear that. That's great.
yeah, yeah. So, I did pin our topics down below in the comments, and that's just to help us to follow along.
Sure.
And so the first question I want to ask you, Matt, is if you could share with us your vegan journey, how you started and how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah, definitely. So I think like most people, started out eating pretty much a standard American diet. A lot of, I don't know, canned, uh, frozen, processed foods, things like that. We did eat fairly, I don't know, I mean, maybe a little healthier than the average standard American, growing up, but it was still most of those same foods. So that's pretty much how I started eating. Going into college, got more into the bar scene, drinking a lot and, a lot of fast food, pizza, things like that. And so that's pretty much what kind of got me feeling the way that kind of triggered my mind that I needed to change something. I grew up with asthma, eczema, a lot of health conditions like that, that I think a lot of people can relate to. I also had a lot of colds and flus. So that was something, that was, I actually just kind of thought was normal.
Because
So
everyone else has them, right? So,
yeah, right, exactly. Exactly. So you're just kind of, just, with everybody else in that arena. So basically, the thing that kind of got me interested in, and I guess I should say, so I've always kind of, had more of a healthy mindset. So I always tried to look for, the healthier versions of things. So I would get like wheat bread and, um, I don't know. I would look for organic when I could find it. It was, not that familiar to me, organic back in like high school and college
right,
as much.
right,
But,
right.
as I started to learn about it, I started to kind of look for that. I wasn't vegan back at this time, so I was like looking for like turkey burgers instead of the, cow-based burgers, things like that I thought were healthier.
Me,
Um,
me too.
yeah, right, right. And like grass-fed, things like that.
No,
And so,
I skipped the grass fed thing though, but I did
oh,
try to
okay.
figure out the whole chicken, turkey, and fish. I thought those were
Right,
healthier.
right, right. Yeah, exactly. Same here. And so that was kind of, even before I somewhat decided I wanted to look towards more plant-based eating, those are kind of the things I was already doing. So I kind of already had that mindset where, I wanted to be healthy, but I was just kind of following the standard version of what was told to be healthy. So one day I came across a podcast or like an internet radio show, and they were talking about juice fasting. And so again, so I'll also say in college, my roommates would always give me a hard time because I would make a lot of my own. I would make a lot of my own meals, and I would usually have a big like spinach salad, although it would have chicken and cheese and ranch and all that stuff on there. So again, it was just a pretty much a standard diet, but with some healthy things in there, like a big salad. So I've always been kind of a seeker of those healthier things. And so going back to that podcast that I heard, it was just like, I was like, I knew fruits and vegetables were healthy for me, but I didn't really think that only fruits and vegetables could be healthy for me,
Right.
So anyways, it was enough to spark my interest when I heard that. And I decided to give it a try. I decided I was just going to do it a couple days. I actually ended going for 10 days. So I did just fresh pressed fruit and vegetable juice for 10 days. And I felt so good.
Aww.
It was like, like
the
brain fog lifted. I also dealt growing up with, like middle school and up, I was starting to accumulate some toxic thinking, self-conscious sort of stuff, low self-esteem, things like that, depression. And so that was also greatly affected during this 10-day juice fast. And my thoughts, my toxic thinking was just so much better. It was like just melting away. And so it was just so eye-opening to me.
Mm-hmm. And in such a short space of time, too.
Right, yeah, exactly. And that's what I said to myself, essentially. I just was like, wow, well, if 10 days of only eating fruits and vegetables has this profound of an effect on me, then, I got to check it out. I got to learn more about this, and I got to dig deeper. So it's pretty much what I did. That's really what sparked me. And from there on, it was I had probably about a year transition from that point. And from in that year, I came across a Dr. Robert Morse on YouTube, Dan McDonald, the Life Regenerator on YouTube.
Yeah, he was one of my first ones too, by the way.
Okay. yeah, right. He was a big influence on me. And then also John Kohler.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, he's good. Yeah.
Growing Your Greens, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
He has so much going on in his videos, though. Oh, my dear.
He does. Yeah.
I have to, like, be super, like, on it to keep up with everything.
Yeah, right. Yeah, and he makes pretty long videos, too, so it's, you got to have some time to watch those.
Yeah,
but they're very informative, and I learned so much from those three initially, and then I kind of started learning I just, started coming across new people here and there, and, just continued to increase my education, just my awareness of all the different, ideas about health. And so over the next year, I was just experimenting with different things. And I would say probably about, like 4 months or so, I came across documentary Earthlings. And so that is what got me interested in the ethical side of veganism.
Yeah.
And so first I was just into the plant-based for your health, and then for my health. And then, I kind of learned about what happens to animals, and that in combination with the understanding that we have no biological need to consume animals. It was just a no-brainer for me that, I didn't want to continue supporting that. And so I stopped completely eating animal products from that point on. And yeah, and so after, again, a year from when I started that juice fast, I pretty much went raw from there. And so I've been about, I don't know, it kind of varies. It's kind of why I named my channel Raw Intuition, because it's not just about being, in a box where you're just going
Right.
to eat raw. My approach is to really, again, use your intuition. My approach is to, make the appropriate choice that you believe, is best for you in that situation. I see a lot of people want to, look at people in the tropics and try to emulate that lifestyle, that diet in Minnesota or in Canada. It's just not exactly the same. You gotta tweak things to fit your own personal situation,
Totally.
and do the best you can with the situation you're in. And so I've never stuck to always being 100% raw, because that just doesn't make a whole lot of sense, practicality wise, or just availability wise. Sometimes it's just not available. Fruits and the ripe fruits just aren't really there all the time. I'm here in Minnesota, and so the selection isn't always the greatest, but
No.
I do the best that I can, and I manage to stick to I would guess 95% plus raw. And every once in a while, here in the winter, or just whenever I feel like it, really, I'll have some cooked food. But it's always, pretty much always, 100% whole food,
Yeah.
plant based. So it's like some steamed veggies or something like that
Yeah.
into an already raw salad or something like that. I always have greens. If I'm going to eat anything cooked, I have a big green salad, and I think that helps with the digestion. So.
Yeah, like a little
Um,
cushion, a little bed to put everything on,
yeah,
right?
exactly. It's a little boat to carry it
Yeah,
through.
yeah, 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 yeah. But
Yeah,
what you were saying about, you started with health and then you learned about the animal suffering. And I
yeah,
and I personally also started for health reasons. And then I learned about the animal cruelty. And someone said the other day, he and his family also started for health and then learned about animal cruelty. And he said, you come for health and you stay for the animals. And I
right.
thought that was like so, poignant. It was just so true for me because when I first started on my vegan journey, I didn't know there was so much cruelty going on. So I can definitely
Right.
see your point on that. And I do recall some of your videos where you were like experimenting with, a percentage of cooked food and just to kind of see how that was going. And I was like, well,
Yeah.
I applaud you for, at least trying to figure out like what works for you. And I know a lot of people who, like you were saying, put themselves in the raw vegan box with the label.
Right.
Whenever, let's just say they have quinoa or they have, I don't know, like a sweet potato or something. Like they get so much flack for it, like
Yeah.
so much criticism. And
Yeah.
and I'm like, hang on, guys, just relax, like
Yeah.
what's the big deal? Like they know what they're doing, like
Yeah.
what is the big deal?
Right. I find it, it's frustrating and a little sad, but at the same time, it's just kind of comical that, somebody would, we're talking like a steamed sweet potato, as if that, like, if I were to go back 15, 11 or 10, 12 years, and think like, if I were to eat a sweet potato and think that it was, not a healthy thing, like, come on. Like,
Yeah,
it's a whole plant food.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Let's have
yeah,
some perspective here.
yeah, yeah. And I think a lot of people don't realize what the real definition or the most accepted definition of raw is. And my research has shown that the definition of raw is 75% or more of the weight of your consumption. And if you are
Sure.
consuming 75% or more in raw, then you are considered raw. So
Yep.
some people take it literally and think, oh my gosh, you have to be 100%. Then you have people walking around saying, well, I'm like 99 or 98% because I consume cashews and they're not raw. So I'm not really 100% raw, but I'm right. And I'm
Right.
thinking, relax. Like,
Yeah.
Who's gonna penalize you for that?
Yeah.
Nobody. Like
Right.
relax, you know?
Yep. Yeah. And I think it's important to step away from that mindset because we want to, at least me personally, I'm trying to make this lifestyle achievable and attractive to more than just that 1 or 2% of people that is willing and even interested in being 100% raw, um, and making it just more welcoming and just more practical for people, because most people, I teach classes around Minnesota here at different co-ops and health food stores, and a lot of the people that I teach, they're return students, so they continue to come back, and they've come back for years,
Nice.
and they still are not 100% raw because
Yeah, but
they
who
don't
cares?
want to be. Yeah, exactly. They're just looking for ways to improve their health, improve their diet in a way that fits their lifestyle and in a way that they're comfortable with. And so I'm not going to tell them that they're, doing something wrong
Mm-mm.
because they're not making that leap that I made. So
Exactly.
yeah. So, I just think it's good to have perspective, on the, real consequences, or the real definition of what healthy food is, and just understanding that there's a spectrum, and you just got to do the best you can. While I was just completing a 26-day water fast,
Yeah, I want to
not
ask you
too long
about
ago.
that. Yeah,
Yeah,
tell us.
yeah,
But before you tell us, please,
yeah.
thanks everyone for joining. If you have questions or comments for Matt, please put them down in the comment section below, and he'll be happy to answer them. So yes, tell us about the fasting experience. And I did see your video, by the way, so I do have a tiny, tiny, tiny bit of information.
Sure.
And also, we'll get back to also the raw vegan benefits, because I know a
Okay.
lot of people see huge benefits even at 50% raw, you know?
Oh yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, you choose which one you want to talk about first, the benefits or
sure,
your fasting.
sure. Well, I'll just go into the benefits quickly since we just went through my story there. So, like I said, I grew up with asthma, eczema, super dry skin. Let's see, again, the colds and flus constantly, always congested, and just toxic thinking, really. So as I continued to, get into this whole food, plant-based lifestyle, I never really got into the processed vegan foods. So I kind of skipped all that. I just went straight into whole foods, and I think that, sped up the healing. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. So the asthma, pretty quickly improved pretty dramatically. And so I didn't have the wheezing, the tight chest after exercising, you know, it just pretty much cleared away, and then, now it's essentially non-existent. So that is, one of the biggest benefits that I had, because if anybody has experienced having asthma, especially for me, when it was almost the worst, at night when I was trying to go to sleep. I just remember always trying to, get enough air in, and it was hard to fall
Oh my
asleep because I
gosh.
was focusing on taking my breaths. And so, yeah, that's just something I remember. And then, like, going over and staying over at friend's house, we would be, trying to go to sleep, and we could hear my chest wheezing, things like that. So, yeah, it was something that really gave me a lot of issues growing up, and to have that be wiped away just from a simple change to my diet, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, the eczema and my itchy, dry skin went away as well. So, I that's like I can just remember, and I have pictures up at our cabin, just these big splotches. Like it was usually happen in the insides of my elbows and on the backs of
Oh.
behind my knees.
Oh, really?
Um,
Wow.
yeah, I would get rashes there, and yeah,
Wow.
and growing up, my parents would wrap me in warm, wet washcloths after a bath
Oh,
with
dear.
cortisone cream and things like that. So they were,
Oh,
and
no.
actually, it was the doctor continued to prescribe these steroid creams for my eczema, like for
No.
way longer than should have happened. And the pharmacist actually told my mom, "You got to stop giving him this because
I
it's
would.
gonna, yeah, it's gonna give him a lot of issues."
I was thinking
So,
because they say we absorb so efficiently through our skin, and I was like, oh
right.
no, 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 no! What are they doing?
Right, yeah, and those steroid creams really affect your adrenals long term. Your skin. It can give it even more issues. So yeah, I'm glad
Wow.
that the pharmacist said something
Yeah, yeah,
and
yeah.
they stopped that. But yeah,
I
so
agree.
no more asthma, no more dry, itchy
Perfect.
skin, and again, no more toxic, just self-limiting, self-critical thinking. And so yeah, I mean, those are the biggest benefits. But also, I haven't had a cold or a flu. Okay, so I haven't had a flu in almost a decade now, and I used to get one every single year almost. So that right
Like a
there,
lot of people. Yeah.
exactly.
Hmm.
I think I've had maybe two or three like super slight colds in the last 10 years that I've been doing
And
this. So
and you probably got rid of them in like 2 or 3 days.
yeah, exactly. They were short-lived, and they were like I never had to take a day off from work or anything. Like it was like super mild. So yeah, so that's really the benefits that I've seen. And then
That's
also,
awesome.
yeah, besides just the physical aspect, the mental and spiritual aspect, connecting with myself, connecting with nature and God, and just everything has become so much more. I've just felt a deeper connection with my intuition, which is
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
where the channel name
No,
comes
but
from.
yeah, yeah, I'm so happy you explained the name because I was like, oh no, I didn't ask him, but maybe people think it's so obvious, but I don't really know.
Sure.
But and for me, like when I'm so on days when I'm 100% raw, like my vibration is so high. Like sometimes, like when I just like go outside, like I feel like I'm like bouncing, like like my feet are hardly touching the floor because or the ground
Yeah.
because I'm just like my energy is just so high, or even
Right.
compared to after a meal. Well, during a meal I'm like super high as well, and then after a meal, like I don't have that lethargy and that indigestion and the fatigue
Exactly.
basically. So I can definitely relate to like the high vibes that you're describing,
Yeah.
compared to what you were experiencing before. i can
Yeah.
definitely i can definitely see that.
Sure.
Yeah. So I think that takes us into your fasting experience. Tell
Yeah.
us, tell us.
It was pretty intense. Actually, to be honest, it was pretty uneventful. It was pretty easy for me, and I think that is attributable to the fact that over these last 10 years, I have been fasting various lengths of time.
Okay.
Juice fasting, water fasting, things like that. Intermittent fasting, mono fruit, island types of things. So I've kind of primed my body to really clean it out and get it ready for something like this. And I meant to go 7 days in the beginning of this 26-day fast. I was just going to go 7 days. Then I changed it to 10 days. Felt felt good. I just was like,
Yeah.
hey. And the thing is, so since the pandemic and all this going on, they've switched my day job where I'm working from home now. And so previously I wasn't able to really do prolonged fasting.
Right.
because I would have to go to work, you know?
Right, right.
And so now I work from home. And so I saw the opportunity and I went for it. So, so I was like, hey,
Incredible.
I
Yeah.
don't have to leave the house. I've got my distiller here. I got all the water I need. And so, you know, I just hunkered down and I just went as long as, you know, it felt right. And so, yeah, I just kind of continued to just push the days out and be like, all right, I think I can go a few more days. And I just kind of listened to my body.
Yeah. Your
And yeah.
intuition.
Right, exactly. And so, and really, I wanted to go longer. I did, but I mean, I felt like I could have. But at the same time, I had some traveling that I was going to be doing in a few weeks from that 26th day. So I wanted to have some energy
Of
and, you know,
course. To
and be
kind
able to
of
do
like
that.
bounce back a little bit in terms of your
Right.
vibration. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so, yeah, so 26 days I thought was perfectly good. And, you know, I loved it. So after the second day, honestly, it was like smooth sailing for me. I basically sat on the couch, you know, I rested. I read a lot of books. I read probably more books in that 26-day fast than I had in the last couple of years. So it just gave
And
me,
you had clarity? I mean, you had like
oh my gosh.
concentration abilities?
Oh yeah. To be honest, so I'm also writing a book
Yes,
and
yes.
yep. Yeah, I'm writing a book
Yeah.
and I got so much done on my book because it was just like something was just like turned on in my mind where I was so clear-headed, so clear-minded, and I was just like all the words just came right out.
Yeah, the
Um,
flow, everything was flowing.
Exactly. I was in the flow.
Yeah.
And so it was amazing. And so I got a good chunk of my book done. Um, it's since I've started eating again, it hasn't produced as easily. So I'm really
Interesting.
yep. So as the food start coming in, I mean it's still good, but it's not as good as the fasting. So it's an interesting thing with how that works. But yeah, so
So you had a lot of I guess what I could say like mental clarity and high vibrations, but at the same time, what was your physical energy like?
so it was kind of up and down. After about probably, I don't know, a couple of weeks, between day 15 and I guess maybe day 20, um, my legs, the most of anything, my legs were weak, you know, so I didn't
Oh,
have a lot of energy to get up and
right,
walk around too much.
right.
So I pretty much just laid on
Hmm.
the couch
Hmm.
all day
Right,
and drank water. And
right.
so, um, yeah, my energy in terms of like my strength was really low.
Yeah.
And even now I'm still recovering. It's been about, oh, let's see. I broke it on September 9th. So it's been, you know, a little over a month. But I expect, you know, right now I can probably lift half of what I could lift before my fast. So
Wow.
yeah, so my workouts they're gradually coming back to, you know, form, but it's taking some time to recover, which I expected,
Okay.
and you know, so yeah, so um, yeah,
It's an interesting comparison though, like your mental clarity and I guess I'm imagining your spiritual vibrations were probably higher and clearer.
oh for sure,
However, it kind of dips on the physical side. So, I
yeah,
guess it's a trade-off.
yeah, yeah, it's true, and one thing that you know I had to overcome was my ego a little bit and my um, you know, my desire to, I've always liked to work out. And, you
Hmm.
know, I had been trying to put on some more muscle,
Hmm.
you know, over the last year or
Hmm.
two.
Hmm.
And so that was one thing I was like, well, if I'm going to fast, because I have always wanted to do an extended fast.
Yeah.
It's always been something that has drawn me to it. I've been interested in fasting ever since I heard about it.
Yeah.
And so, I always thought like, oh man, if I have to fast, I'm just gonna be this twig and lose all my muscle and yeah, so
Yeah.
it's one of those things where you have to get over the ego aspect of it, and you have to understand that temporary, loss of physical attributes is, what's more important, the short term loss of some muscle or long term benefits of, spiritual connection, intuition, uh, clarity, all these things that, I think those are the things that I'm truly interested in attaining. But, I do look forward to starting to build back up.
Yeah, and I would say, like, to me, it seems like it's easier to recuperate and build that physical element back compared
Yeah.
to the gains that you achieved. You had that clear mental flow. You gained so much in terms of making progress on your book and your spirituality and your intuition, all those high vibes. So for me, it seems like it's a very good trade-off
Oh, yeah.
if it just takes you a few more months to kind of build up, I don't know, 20 pounds of muscle or whatever. And one other
Right.
thing before we go to the questions, and thanks guys, if you have more questions, please put them down below for Matt. One other thing, there's another raw vegan who started to eat some cooked food because I think he wanted to gain muscle, and it was
Mm.
helping him to put on the weight, I guess, that he would need to then
Sure.
convert that to muscle. And he got a lot of flack from people like, I thought you said, I thought you said you were a fruitarian. I thought you said you were a raw vegan. What are you? And
Right.
he said something like, I am what you say I am. And I thought, oh my, here we go. What a disaster.
Oh my.
Okay, we have some questions here from Bayart. Does this have something to do with your body trying to save energy for organs in the brain? Almost like going into survival mode. Is this healthy for a month long? I'm curious, meaning brain function is higher and limb strength is weak. Okay, thank you for that, Bayard. So here we go, Matt.
Okay. So I actually kind of missed the very first part of that. What was the first part?
Does this have something to do with your body trying to save energy for organs and the brain? Almost like going into survival mode.
Okay. Well, I mean, when you think about it, the body is designed to fast. Our physiological setup is to go through periods of, uh, famine. There's no other animal in nature that has a consistent 3 meals a day, 20,
Around the
24
clock.
hours, yeah, 365. Every animal goes through periods where it's searching for food. And, if we want to look at this scientifically, food calorie restriction is the only scientifically proven way to extend lifespan. And so that in itself shows that consistently keeping our bodies fed is it's actually lowering our lifespan. And so when you give the body a rest, the body has a chance to, you could call it survival mode, but I would call it, self-cleansing. It gives it time to clean out the junk. Doesn't matter if you're eating the cleanest, most organically grown, right from the back of your garden foods. Even when you're eating those foods, there is still free radical production. There is still some residues left over after metabolism happens. And there's always going to be, something that the body needs to clean out. And so allowing your body some time to flush that out, a lot of people have a lot of environmental toxins trapped in their fatty tissue. And so most people that are eating, I mean, especially people that are eating animal products and high fat foods, they are storing the chemicals that those animals consumed, and it was trapped in their fatty tissue. They consume it, it gets into their fatty tissue, and these chemicals have effects on our hormones, on our mental health, on, cancer risk, all these things. And they also even have an impact on future generations that, children that haven't even been born. So, they have so many effects, and that is why giving your body a chance to eliminate those things is, something that I think everybody should consider doing. Whether you're going to do an extended fast or not, that's up to each individual. But the understanding that the body can heal itself, and it can only do that when we get out of its way and give it the appropriate environment and the appropriate tools it needs. I mean, really, it has all the tools it needs, but we just have to get out of its way. And so
And
giving
also
it
the digestion. Digestion
right.
takes up so much energy and so much work for our body as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, they say something like 80% of your nerve energy goes to digestion. And so,
Amazing.
yeah, and that would explain why, I was able to so freely write my book when I had no food going through me, because all that nerve energy was going to my head, to my brain. So yeah, I personally do believe that fasting appropriately, and again, doing it smartly. I'm not here to say everybody should jump into a 26-day fast tomorrow. That wouldn't be a good idea. So don't do that.
Disclaimer,
Yeah,
disclaimer.
yeah. Definitely do your research. Get educated about it, and just experiment with, one day maybe, or maybe 2 days, or get into juice fasting like I started out with. So that's, it's just, there's ways that you can experiment with it and feel the benefits. I think that is one of the best ways to understand if something is true, is personal experience. If you personally want to know if something is true, you got all these different camps. You got the paleo people, you got the vegan people, you got the raw people, all these high fat, low fat, all these things. So you gotta try it. I've tried. I never did the paleo or the
Oh, keto.
keto.
You forgot.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
forgot that
I
one.
never did any of those. So,
Yeah.
um,
And I'm not
but-
making fun of anyone. I'm making fun of how we divide ourselves and
right.
we create all of these, comparisons. That's what I'm making fun of, because I had a
Yeah.
conversation the other day. One sister was telling the other sister, you need to consume less oil. You're consuming too much oil. And then, so I said, yeah. You guys are having like a classic debate between vegans in terms of, is it whole food plant-based, no oil, or whole food plant-based X percentage of oil? And I'm like,
Right.
basically, relax.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And again, for those people that are, debating that, they should, try it out, try each side and see which one they feel better and which one they don't. And then they will know which one is going to help them the most. So that's always been my kind of philosophy, is to speak from experience. And, I try to only promote things that I personally have experience with. And so, I think that would clear up a lot of the confusion for most people. And again, so I was going to say, I never actually did paleo, but I think I could probably fall into that class before I made this transition, because I was still eating, I was trying to limit a little bit my processed food. And so maybe I wasn't completely paleo, because I still was consuming some processed foods, but I was eating a pretty healthy standard American diet, I guess, for whatever that means. But yeah, so just switching to this diet gave me the understanding personally, from personal experience, that, this, I've never felt this good in my life. And so that's all I need really
Right.
to
Right.
tell me that this is the way that I should live.
Yeah.
And then just, for helping other people understand it, learning more to help spread the message is just what I do. So, personally, I don't need any more information. I don't need any more education about it for myself, but I do like to learn as much as I possibly can so that I can better explain it to other people and help them, get inspired to, change their life and experience benefits like I experienced. So if they choose, I try not to force anything, but
Right.
I just like to put that out there for them to see. And if they want to try it, then great.
Awesome. So, running up the comments here, we have Celine who says, very inspiring with three exclamation points. We had also Norma saying, you rock, Matt. One exclamation point. And Matt, I
Thank
love
you.
that you don't judge. All right.
Thank
So,
you.
and I love that too. So, Matt, we have, oh la la, we have 18 minutes left. So, Matt,
Okay.
tell us about your books, your services, and your offerings, please.
Okay. Well, my books. So I've got my children's book here, which was the first book that I published. It's called Vegan Adventures, The Barnyard Friends. It is on my website, myrawintuition.com. Honestly, when I started making this, I actually wasn't even planning on making it into a actual book. It was just going to be some downloads on my website. And then as I was starting to make the different activities, I thought, after talking with my mom and my girlfriend, I thought, well, hey, they thought that I should just put them together into a activity book. And so then I thought, yeah, that might be a good idea. And so I started writing some little stories to go along with it. So it goes through the different barnyard animals that are common. And it kind of just teaches kids, it gives the kids a perspective through the animal's eyes about what it's like for them. And also it teaches them that all animals are individuals with, unique personalities, just like our family cats and dogs.
Yeah, it's
People think,
awesome.
yeah, people think there's a difference between how cats and dogs are versus cows and chickens, but they're all the same in everything that, matters.
And they're
So
sentient beings, like
exactly.
I don't think people take that into consideration. I don't even think people realize it sometimes.
Right. Yeah. And personally, I didn't either, before I learned about all this. It's amazing. I actually used to work in a meat department, and I never put two and two together that and it's funny because I mean, I knew they were animals
Yeah.
because I remember thinking when I was, making some products back there,
Yeah.
how, the chicken breast that I was holding used to be walking around in like a barnyard. I used to think that, like, think about, wow, that's weird. This used to be walking around. But I still never connected, it never made that connection where, hello, this was an individual, So it's interesting how we can we can understand that it was an animal, but the idea that it was an individual it just there's something about it. It just doesn't click. And
Yeah,
so once
because we're
once
not taught. We're not taught that. I mean, I think
right,
to the benefit of the animal agriculture, factory industry, I think it's in their best interest not for us to realize that, because
exactly.
that kind of, shuts out our compassionate nature and our caring nature. So I'm sure that's probably why it's not very
Yeah,
widely known. But I think books like yours are awesome because there's so many more vegan families now.
Yeah.
And I'll actually try to send you something that a vegan doctor just posted on basically like raising vegan children. And she
Oh,
has
okay.
like super awesome points. I put it in stories the other day, but I can send it to you. And it's super awesome. And then the other thing is we have here Norma saying the perfect book every family should have in their library. I have my copy. All right.
Thank you, Norma. Thank you.
Awesome. So continue, please. Tell us about your books, services, and offerings.
Yeah. So then I've also got a couple ebooks. I'm working on getting some more books out, including the one that I spoke about earlier. I've got my Savory Salad Dressings ebook, which teaches people how to make salad dressings. Salad dressings have become one of my favorite things to create. There's so many different dressings and flavors and textures and all these things that we can make. And
Endless.
it's endless, and you can turn the like similar salads into completely different meals. So, people don't have to get bored with the same salad or salad dressing. There's so many ways that we can create variety without changing things like just, too much. So people, it's easy to create different flavors and things by making different dressings, and so that's what that book helps people understand. And then I've got my fat-free salad dressings ebook because I got a lot of requests about fat-free dressings, so
Yeah.
that's in there as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then so currently I am making I don't have a title for it yet, but it is essentially it's going to be my story, of the transition and everything like that, and what worked for me. And then it's going to give people just an overview of this lifestyle. It's going to cover as many things as possible for things that people might run into, and just educate them about the important aspects to understand in order to succeed at this lifestyle long term. And then it's going to have, I don't know the exact number of recipes, but it'll have probably at least 100 recipes in there. And so, so it's in the works. I'm hoping to be done with so there's going to be the content, like the educational section of the book, and then there's going to be the recipes. I'm hoping to have the content or the educational section done by the end of this year. So I'm hoping to have the entire book ready for publishing by sometime next year. So that's my book.
Awesome.
Yeah. My services. I do some online coaching. So just on my website, you can check out, my coaching options. Right now, I haven't been doing as much coaching just because I'm trying to really focus on this book.
Yeah.
But I'm open to, if somebody needs some help with something, just send me a message and we can connect and see what I can do to help. And yeah, it's basically just over Skype or Zoom,
Okay.
Zoom mostly now.
It's so popular. Everyone's on
Yeah.
Zoom.
Oh my gosh, it's such a nice program, and so I love it. What else? I teach classes like I mentioned around mostly around Minnesota in my local area, and so that's kind of what I've been doing for services, and yeah.
So I think we covered then your current and future offerings. So let me ask you a question. You say you've been teaching locally as well as online,
Mhm.
consulting and coaching. So let's say over the last 3 to 5 years, have you seen like an uptick in terms of interest, in terms of products, in terms of like, awareness of veganism?
Mhm.
What's been your take over the last 3 to 5 years? Because you've been in this like way longer than a lot of us.
Yeah, it's been about 10 years almost coming up here. It's been like a little over 9.5 years. So yeah, certainly it has there's been an increase in interest in the vegan lifestyle. Yeah, it's been really great to see. The product availability is amazing, and it just continues to get better. So it's exciting, to see that, knowing that people will have transitional items that will help them move in this direction without feeling too overwhelmed, like they're having to give up a lot of their favorite things.
Mhm.
So that's really nice to see. The thing that I am kind of on YouTube for and putting out information is to help people transition into the lifestyle easier, just like those products are helping people with. But I just don't want to see people get stuck in that transitional product or vegan processed food stage. I love seeing those products out there, but for people to really experience the benefits that they think they're looking for, I think making that transition. Like I said, I did like a year, but I was doing it just with cooked food. It wasn't really with the processed foods. So I think with the increased availability of products, it makes it maybe more easy to get stuck in that arena where
Yeah,
you're where
good
you're
point.
just indulging a little more than might be appropriate. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah.
people are going to go through their journeys. I'm not like trying to say that it's wrong or it's bad, but just having them have the awareness that they may feel better if they continue through that stage, um, rather than just being content with having those replacement foods. Because there are so many delicious whole food, options available for people to fill their lives with, and so yeah. But yeah, interest, personally for my coaching, yeah, it's been actually in the last couple of years has gone up, and so that's been nice to see. Um, and yeah, I just hope that people continue to get the message, and I know there's a lot of industry funded opposition out there that tries to confuse people, but hey, that's we'll just
What,
hope we put out the right information to get them moving in the right direction.
yeah, I think vegans just have to be louder, to be
Yeah,
honest. And
yeah,
and the vegan businesses, if you're watching, you need to be
right.
louder. We need to kind of drown out the standard messages. I'm looking in
Yeah.
the camera. Standard messages. We need to drown that out. All those marketing commercials, propaganda. Drown that out. Put your
Yeah.
marketing propaganda out there for vegan options. And I see these processed vegan options as convenience foods. Number one. Number two, like you said, transition. I know someone who is on his vegan journey, and he said to me the other day, because I said he was saying, "Oh, these are kind of expensive," and I said, "Yeah, there's some great recipes out there, to make your own cheeses, your own milks, your own hummus, your own," and I was going on and on as I
Right.
do. And then he was like, "Oh yeah, I'm just kind of buying these now just to kind of see what's out there, and then just to kind of try everything basically, and then from there, he would have a better idea of like what he's aiming for, I guess, in
Sure.
terms of like when he's ready to create his own dishes."
Okay. Yeah, that's a great idea, and that's really similar to what I do as well. That's really how I got started making recipes, was looking online mostly, for recipes that I enjoyed, and then tweaking them to fit my personal preference as to what I was wanting to eat. Um, the kind of specifics that I was hoping to stay within, and yeah, that's great. I think that's a perfectly practical thing to do, and I think it's beneficial to have that experience.
Totally. We have Norma who says your smoothies are delish.
Oh, thank you. Thank you.
They sure are pretty. I just see the photos. I'm like click 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 click.
There. Yeah, I love my smoothies.
Oh, they're awesome. Awesome. They're just so pretty. They really are. So
Yeah.
we have 4 minutes left.
Okay.
So tell us, how can people contact you for information, collaboration, everything? What are your best contact methods?
Sure. So my website is myrawintuition.com. You can message me there, or you can message me on Instagram here at Raw Intuition. I have a YouTube channel, Raw Intuition, as well. And then if you go to my Instagram page here, you can go to my link tree, and that has all my different contact, areas there. So I would just say go to my link tree, and that'll get you in the right spot if you want to contact me.
Awesome. All right, so 3 minutes left. So Matt, first of all, I want to thank you deeply and sincerely for taking the time to come on. I'm very inspired by you. I wish you super, super good luck and high vibes for your next set of books and offerings and services.
Thank
And
you.
I want to ask you to please close us out here and just tell us whatever you want to tell us to, finish off our chat today. And I also want to thank everyone who joined, and I will save it on the replay. So Matt, close us out, please.
All right. Well, let's see. So what do we got? 2 minutes?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think something that has helped me to stay successful over the long run is to follow what I call the 3 Ps. It is patience. So you always be patient with yourself. Don't get overwhelmed or, down on yourself. It's a journey. It's going to take a little while. So always have patience. Practicality. Like I said about trying to live a tropical lifestyle in Minnesota, just do the best you can with what's available to you and, what works with your lifestyle, and just work at it, do your best. And then also, let's see, patience, practicality, and persistence. Persistence, just, keep with it. If you stay with it long enough, you're going to start to see the good results.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah,
Totally.
so patience, practicality, and persistence are the 3 things that I think everybody should hold on to and embrace.
Oh, I love it. Oh, I love the 3 Ps. All right. So we have Celine who says, such a great interview. Thank you. 3 exclamation points. I love
Oh
those
my gosh.
exclamation points. There we go. Thanks, Celine. Thanks, everybody, for joining. We have 1 minute and 2 seconds left. It's giving me a countdown. So
Okay.
I am going to thank Matt again. I'm going to save it on IG replay, and we'll take it from there.
Terrific.
All right.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Matt. And thanks, everybody. And take good care. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.